kick off this conversation around generational bias by looking at this wonderful quote by the 16th U.S. President, Abraham Lincoln, who once said, "I don't like that person. I must get to know them better." See, what Abraham Lincoln understood is that the crook of connection isn't difference, it's distance. At the end of the day, no matter what country we're from, no matter what generation we're a part of, we are way more similar than we are different. And so really what gets in the way of connecting across generation, it's not our differences, it's our distance. We don't have appreciation for that individual's story, or we don't understand the context in which they were raised, or those different events or innovations that have imprinted them during their multiple years. So it's really important that we wrap our heads around this. Now, here's where difference snaggles humans. Here's why. Our brain, your brain, one of the primary functions of our brain is to conserve energy. So that's why if I was able to hand you a book with half the letters scribbled out, you would still be able to read that book because your brain's going to fill in the blank. Your brain does something called chunking, where it likes to make sure it's making sense so that it can process that information faster and free up resources so that it can focus on more critical things. Our brain's doing this all the time. Your brain loves routine. It loves to jump to conclusions. It loves to make assumptions and fill in the blank. Your brain hates to be confused. So it's always looking for shortcuts to make sense of the world around it. Very helpful from an evolutionary standpoint that our brain functions that way. Not helpful when we're trying to connect across generations. So you and I actually have to push against our own human nature to remain more open-minded about other generations. So it's something we all have to work at. But keep in mind, the crook of connection isn't difference, it's distance. And we have to make the intentional effort to take a step closer to try to understand that generation. So I like to kind of sum up this conversation around generational bias to be more curious and to be less certain. To spend a little bit more time in that camp of curiosity and a little bit less time thinking you know everything about that generation, right? Or making assumptions or conclusions, right? Less finger pointing, more listening.